We're pleased today to have Jeff Rubin of the 2013 Discover Orange Bowl Committee here inside the studio. Florida State back in the Orange Bowl yet again. Such a rich tradition of having the Seminoles in that game. What does it mean for you all to have an in-state team, have Florida State back in the Orange Bowl?
We're extremely excited about having Florida State back in. They haven't been back in since the 2006 game, which unfortunately didn't end too well for them. But this year they'll be back in as the ACC champions. They earned the right to be there, just like NIU did. And so we're looking forward to having a great game on January 1st.
The matchup this year is Northern Illinois versus Florida State. Northern Illinois has had an outstanding season. Only one loss, and it was just by 1 point this year.
1 point against University of Iowa. Tough game for them, but they ended up coming very close to the end, and they ended up losing that game by 1 point. They are the MAC champions, just like Florida State are the ACC champions. They have an undefeated season other than that first game. They've won 12 games in a row. And so I think it's going to be a very good matchup. It's not so much about how they got there, but certainly about the product.
One of the great things your committee does is the Orange Bowl. It's a great weekend full of events. One thing we're most excited about is the Orange Bowl Classic, a basketball game there where Florida State's going to take on Tulsa. Talk about having a great weekend of just not only maybe just a football game, actually having a basketball game too.
Well, it's sort of become an FSU weekend. On the 29th, we'll have the Orange Bowl Classic. That would be, like you said, FSU versus Tulsa, and then later in the afternoon there'll be another game. Then later on that day, actually not on the 31st, we're going to have a coach's luncheon. Both Coach Jimbo Fisher and Coach Rod Carey, who is the new offensive coordinator, well, the offensive coordinator that's now become the head coach of NIU. They'll sort of banter around. It's ESPN's there, and there'll be a number of players. And then we also have the fan zone, which will occur on the 1st. That'll start at around 2:30 in the afternoon, and we'll continue through up until game day. And Florida-Georgia Line will be there. They'll be the main act, which is certainly people know them from FSU. And then our halftime show, which will be right during the game, halftime obviously, and that'll be with Jake Owen.
One of the great things about your committee too is you like to honor some Florida State's past, the great history. Warwick Dunn getting inducted into the Orange Bowl Hall of Fame this weekend.
Yes.
For you, you said you're a Miami native yourself, so you've been around the game for a long time.
Yep.
For having Warwick Dunn there and for what he meant to college football, it's a pretty special weekend.
It is, and he will be inducted at the coaches' luncheon. That will take place on the 31st, and along with 2 other players. So it's certainly special having him there. Sort of makes it, like I said, an all-around encompassing FSU weekend, starting with the basketball game, the coaches' luncheon, and then the game itself.
One of the great things, too, about being in the state is there's a great Florida State fan base down there. So you know people are going to be at the game. The tickets are going to be sold. How nice is that for you as a committee, knowing you're going to have a great crowd? It'll probably be a little bit more Florida State oriented because it's in the state,
yes.
But to have that many fans in the stands.
Huge number of FSU fans that's in the Miami-Dade, Broward County area. So we hope that they will come out. We want you to buy tickets. Go to Seminoles.com to buy tickets. There'll be 2 quadrants set up. The FSU quadrant, and then, of course, on the completely opposite side of the stadium will be the NIU quadrant. So it's important that the FSU base do show up.
The Orange Bowl is, of course, one of the most historic games every year. Talk a little bit about the history of you in that committee and how you go about deciding teams that really get into such a prestigious game.
Well, this is our 79th game that we'll be putting on. We started in 1935. This particular, we're only tied to the Sun Bowl and one other bowl, I think, for number 2. Rose Bowl being the oldest of all the bowls. And, in this particular case, this season, it was the ACC champion. Obviously, FSU beat out Georgia Tech, and then ended up being the at-large team. The at-large team got into to our bowl game because they ended up finishing in the top 16 and then ahead of 2 other automatic qualifying teams. So that put them in because they ended up finishing 15 in the BCS.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming into the studio today.
My
we
pleasure.
appreciate you coming in. January 1st, it's going to be a great weekend.
It's going to be a great weekend. It's an FSU weekend.
January 1st down in Miami, Florida State versus Northern Illinois in the 2013 Discover Orange Bowl.